This is gonna be a slow-mo in the montage, like tune with a. Down,
it's gonna end.
down, 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 down. You can go like.
I'd give that. And it's gonna end with me killing him.
Probably.
Okay, perfect. You have the soundtrack for the season
There we
2.
go. We got the
That's it. That's it.
You got the jingle.
Yeah.
Hello, fellow songwriters, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the How Songs Are Made podcast. I can't believe we made it all the way to Season 2. After a bit of a break, we are back. And here on the podcast, in case you're new, we talk to notable songwriters about their songwriting process. I'm your host, Trey Xavier. Joined with me today for the first time on this podcast is Alex.
Yes.
Nasla.
Hello. Yeah. It's been a hot minute since I've been. Fun fact: I did the very first podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, our old podcast, which was called the Excessive Nerd Shit Podcast, where we talked about gear and other stuff. And now it's all about songwriting and the songwriting process. And
much more interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think so.
I think so too.
I think we did about all the gear stuff we could possibly do. And
Yeah.
if at this point you still don't know what you're doing, I don't know if I can help anybody. Like, I did my best, all right? And also, there's plenty others out there who do it better than me anyways. But today, kicking off Season 2, we've got Clem and Meek from Visions of Atlantis.
Hello.
Hello.
We just saw on the boat.
What boat?
Not 2 days ago.
Which boat?
70,000 tons of metal. Yeah, not just any old boat.
It's not just
the
any
best
boat.
boat.
Yeah.
Not a
Best
random
boat.
boat.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a dinghy in the middle of the
No,
ocean,
no.
like trying to.
No,
for us, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say a band like
We would have loved that.
Yeah,
I
a band like I was about to say a band like Visions of Atlantis. I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm yearning to actually grab a 18th century year old whatever ship, wooden. Make some concerts, like very private,
No, actually, I would
private
love
concerts on that.
This is kind of appropriate for this podcast. I would love to spend a week in the ship, in a boat actually, and songwrite there just to get the right inspiration.
get the vibe.
That would be
Oh,
sick.
yeah.
That'd be so
That would
cool.
be sick.
Just bring like a little bare bones mobile rig just so you can get your ideas down and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes men do this.
Oh, yeah.
They take a week or 2
Yeah.
weeks in random places just to get the right vibe. And
Yeah,
the
You
right
did that
mood.
with Temperance.
I did this once with one of my bands. Yes,
I think
and
Nightwish does that. They go to an island.
I
Yeah.
have no idea, but I trust you.
Yeah. I talked to Tomas once, and he was saying, usually he tries to go to different places, but his main place is like some island in Finland.
Yeah, but this is inspiring. Like
Yeah.
when I did it, I have to admit that in terms of vibe, in terms of mood, it really projects you into an alternative reality in which you can dive and stay there for the entire week. We did it without cell phones. It was in the mountains somewhere, like forgetting about humanity basically, and and it was cool. So let's do this. Let's rent a ship.
Speaking of which, isn't that one of the coolest things about 70K is that because most people don't really have access to the internet and they can limited use of their phone, everyone's so much more focused on the show
Present.
and present.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like this because I had internet because.
So
I
know
mean,
we got it because we
we had it
to
too.
do all the interviews and everything.
Yeah, we needed it for work, but
I think this is the first time I've ever interviewed the same band twice in the span of a week.
oh yeah,
It's true.
So
Is this a good thing? Like,
I mean,
there's
hang on,
no
we'll
money.
do another one tomorrow.
There's no money involved. We didn't pay them.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
hosting us twice.
Yeah, that's because they haven't gotten the bill yet. But it's the boat is the best thing in the universe. I go every year because I can't not. It's
Not do
like
it.
if I get a chance, I'm gonna do it. And so it was awesome to get to see you guys there. And I think I interviewed you right before the pandemic. Like I think whatever the last time you came around the U.S. before the most recent tour was.
Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah. So obviously the world changed a lot in the interim, but you guys recorded and put out your new album, which is called Pirates, which is mostly what I want to talk about today. Really, there's only one question on the podcast, and all the other ones are follow-ups. But the question is, what is your typical songwriting process, and what was it like for this album? Was it different? Was it the same? And I'm excited to have singers here because usually, although it has varied a bit, usually it's guitarists that we have on, and sometimes it's been drummers. I think this it's not the first one where it's only been singers because we had Charlotte Wessels on, but yeah, I think mainly because I would love to hear you talk about the lyrics as well. So just
like how
let
does
it
it work for us when we
how's it work? Yeah,
actually, I think this is nice if it comes from you, because as you might know, I joined Visions of Atlantis in 2018. She was there before me, and the thing is that between Pirates, the last record, and the previous records, a lot changed. Like it was a massive turning point for Visions of Atlantis, and I think it's so cool if this comes from you, Clemmy, because you can describe what was before, what it was before, and how we did it this year. This year, of course, this last time.
Yeah.
It runs fast. It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
And yeah, all yours.
Well, try to make it fast. In a nutshell,
you don't have to make it fast. You can go.
You could.
We got
as
plenty
long
of
or
time.
as short as you want.
This is where you get to go as in depth as you like.
All right. Try to gather my thoughts first.
Take
Sure,
time.
sure,
Take
yeah.
time.
But it's like it came from outside to like the songwriting process with Visions of Atlantis has been quite like all over the years, even before I joined, depending on who was part of the lineup. And we're one of those bands that changed lineup so many times that we even believe we're like 5 years old, like because it's hard for us to completely relate to what's been done before. So I'm not gonna like talk about in detail what was it like before I joined, because I wasn't part of it. Doesn't feel right to completely describe. But when I joined the band, there was literally no songwriters, like no proper songwriters within the band. I could write music, but I knew it would never fit the universe of Visions of Atlantis. So it was not a question about me taking over as the main songwriter back then. So to be very, very, very truthful and honest, I did participate in the writing of melodies and some songs on Deep in the Dark already, but mostly everything was written by someone outside the band, external. And so throughout the years, up to till now, and for the next record, this entire process is to take the songwriting from outside to inside the band. And this is thanks to Michele that this can really work, because he's a singer, but he is a multi-instrumentist person and is an amazing songwriter. So he already for Wanderers...
Multi-instrumentist person feels like I have a guitar in my arms, like some X-Men, like super power.
Yeah.
Guitar here,
like Voltron with
keyboard
guitars,
here.
keyboards.
Your
Like,
chest of
bass
drums.
power
and-
activated.
Yeah.
So yeah, already from Wanderers on, he was bringing songs to the band, to the records, but we did work with a producer who was the main songwriter for Visions of Atlantis.
Which, surprise, is not such an uncommon case anyways. Like
No,
just-
no.
Oh, no.
It's
You know,
not
Oh, yeah.
uncommon, but
Not
it's
not uncommon
but
at
it's
all.
not said out loud. Like so many bands
Very rarely.
use
Yeah.
external songwriting people. They're actually
Yeah, but if you look in the credits, you'll always see them.
Yeah,
usually.
but
if you buy the record.
Yeah.
People-
yeah, but
little
just
people
looking there
do.
now.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
people do.
Like
the
that's how I
thing.
found out Kai Hansen is like all over like every metal band in Europe.
Yeah, or Sasha Path.
Or
just to
Sasha-
mention
oh,
another
Sa-
one,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
there are
Sa-
so
yeah.
many great songwriters that write
Yeah.
for many bands, and
Yeah,
too little times, you know, they get
Hannes Brown.
yeah, Hannes Brown.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get the actual credit for this, you know, because
Yeah.
of course, and I think that I feel like this myself. Like if someone else would have written songs for me, as it happened in the past of Visions of Atlantis, it's not like I feel super proud of it in a way. I mean, of course, sometimes it's needed because of several reasons. I think you're getting there, but it's. I truly believe that when the music comes from the artist itself, there is a different vibe.
Yeah.
Sorry for interruption.
No,
but
no, you don't. No, no worries. It's a conversation. You know, it's not
Yeah.
like I have to do a monologue.
Yeah.
But so thanks to Michele, the music of Visions of Atlantis is getting more and more personal, more and more genuine, like coming from within the band and not from outside. We didn't have a choice. Like we would have had to do a complete different thing, change the band name, change the style, because I'm not naturally writing for like symphonic metal per se.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was like, if we want to stick to, like Thomas wanted, Kaz, our band leader and band founder, wanted to stick to the style they used to do before. So he said, like, we want to write symphonic metal. No one can do that from within. We hire someone from outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I did collaborate with him on melodies and all, and of course I wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah.
So it was not like it's completely fake. There was still a lot of heart put into that.
I mean, I don't know. I would never use the word fake, right? Like,
No, but it's
like orchestras are all playing the music of people that have been dead for like hundreds of years, right? Like,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't claim this is their music.
yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, that's
You know?
true. But I mean, at the same time, they are putting their own spin on it, right? Like, they aren't playing it
I mean-
100%
Yeah,
exactly.
but it's an interpretation. It's like
Yeah.
jazz. It's
Yeah.
part of the musical. It's part
Yeah.
of this universe to
Yeah.
be like, we use what exists, but we make our own version out of it. We are a band that says we're creative. And having the songs coming not from within the band can look like you guys are just interprets of someone else's art.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Um,
ownership of it now.
Yeah, now we
It's-
have
Yeah.
way more ownership of
Yeah.
it, and the next record is gonna be almost 100% ownership. And this is where we feel more connected to the band, to
Right.
the response from the audience. You know, also because when you write something and you have thousands of people singing it, it feels completely different than when you already sing a song that it's not yours. You know, I felt like I've been part of a cover band for quite a while with Visions of Atlantis because of that reason. But yeah, so to come back to the very first question with Pirates, we changed producer. Frankie Peters, who has been our producer for the last 2 records, wrote an amazing song for us and brought Visions back into the scene. But we felt at some point that if we would stick to that team, we would just probably not evolve, probably like start to go into a circle of going around the same ideas and stuff. And we felt like we still need to grow all the time. And yeah, it was the pandemic. It was the perfect moment to really like sit down and reflect on how we were doing things, with whom. And we had met our new producer on the road, and he was inspired by our band. He saw us on stage every night and he's like, wow, I actually love your it, guys. I love your like there's something going on. It inspires me. And he wrote a song on the road for us.
Oh.
Which is now Melancholy Angel.
Oh.
Yeah.
And when we heard that song, we were like, what the hell?
We're like, oh, this is actually cool.
This is pretty
cool.
good.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's definitely a great song.
Absolutely. And as hard as it is to come up with that conclusion, we were like, yeah, this is of a higher, better songwriting level than what we've been coming up with so far. So we had a discussion with him. We had our discussion with our producer, and we all understood, okay, for the sake of the band, we need to, upgrade the team, and having him on board is one of the reasons why Pirates is Pirates. So he actually was like inspired in the way that he wrote a couple more songs for the album. But we also said like, with Meek now having more time with the pandemic and all, we'd like to try to bring as many songs as we can from within the band, because this already, it just feels right. You know, you can write songs. Why not like having our own material? We're a real band like that. Like it's our creation. So we had to find a balance here, but it went very well because Meek's material just went like, you as a songwriter came up with so many brilliant ideas. If I think of Legends of the Seas, Massa the Hurricane,
Actually, basically,
Clocks, these are your songs.
Oh,
All the
Master of the
singles-
Hurricane was you?
yeah,
Buddy.
all the singles
song is
except
awesome.
all the singles except for Melancholy Angel in the end were songs of mine that have been
totally.
chosen.
Yeah.
And actually, true to be told, Master the Hurricane, Clocks, and Legion of the Seas are also the least affected by the production process, because of course we will get there, but at a certain point the role of the producer is to scramble your ideas. You know, you bring ideas, you put them on the plate, but then you still are the artist and the musician, you know. So of course, as I was telling you during the interview on the boat, the producer has a completely different ear, and when he listens to your material, he knows that something are to be changed. But true to be told, Legion, Master, and Clocks are basically unchanged. like on the deposit level, these songs are 100% ours.
They kind of made it past the producer in the sense that he didn't go like, oh, I don't know about, but just left. Most of it
Basically, all the structures of these 3 songs, all the melodies, all the arrangements are basically untouched. Even the orchestra, like Master the Hurricane, is one of the songs that has been touched the least in terms of orchestral arrangement, either because, of course, maybe this is a topic that we will touch later on, but there is a massive work in terms of arrangement in Visions of Atlantis, because, of course, writing a song for a thrash metal band is one thing. I'm not saying that it's easier. Maybe it's like just different patterns.
There's less instruments.
But exactly, there is less instrument that you have to work on. When it comes to Visions, there is an orchestra that you have to arrange, because we're playing symphonic metal. We want to do it properly, and we don't want the strings, to go with one line. Okay, that's it. That's how it ends. We have like 30, 40 tracks of orchestra plus keys plus arrangement, and everything has to be dealt with properly. When I write the orchestras for our songs, I start with at least 16 tracks, and it's not like the 6 string tracks, they're doing the same thing. It's not like the strings go in one direction and everything else follows. It's thought with an actually complex harmonic mindset, and you also have to think of what a real cello player would do in that moment, or what a real string player would do in that moment. So it's not like it's not just MIDI. You see, you have to think as that musician to make it work decently and properly. Otherwise, it's not efficient. It's fake. It's different to write for an orchestra than write on a keyboard.
Yeah,
it's 2 completely different things. You have to think of the melody and the progression of the melody in the harmonic ground. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
And Master, getting back to the point, Master is one of the least touched on this side, which makes me proud, because it's a complicated song, of course.
Our producer is, as Michele said, like taking our ideas and making the best out of it, helping us cut the unnecessary, helping us bring the efficiency level to some degrees more, helping us just reflect on some harmonical evolution. It's more like we're writing together now with him, and yeah, we learned a lot through that process, and I think right now we found the right team to bring our music to the level we want it to be at, because we still could just not have a producer write our songs and they'll still be good, because I know the material that Mick's produced on his own. But we also want to catch up. Visions has been on the road for so long, but yet this is our first headline tour in the US. So I'm starting to bang stuff because I want to move my hands.
I know. Sorry, it's all a little like.
No, it's too tall for this. Kidding. So it feels like, we don't want to waste potential on music and songs and all. We were like, whatever we do, we want to bring it to the highest level we can. It's the same with the looks, the videos. It's our mindset. Like, we invest a lot in what we're doing, and we want everything to be at the best we can deliver at that time, at that period of time, to try to give us our best shot, because we only have this life to live, this career to have, and we're ready to just put our ego aside and be like, our idea is good, but we still need external help to make them amazing. That's fine, because we want to play and give to people amazing music. That's the point.
One of the most difficult things that I find getting across to bands and musicians is there's like the ego that they feel like, no, I don't need help. I have to do it by myself, or I can do it good enough, and they can't be truthful about where their deficiencies are.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the times it's like, oh, this would have been great if they would just get out of their way on these certain things.
Yeah.
And it's like
literally happens all the time. Pretty much almost every band I end up working with has that to some level.
And you don't even really have to think of them as like deficiencies, in the sense as that like every musician can do a certain number of things, which is why you have a drummer and a bass player and a guitarist, and like they just at least like local bands who haven't really done the, or whatever, smaller, anybody who hasn't worked with on the certain level with like a real producer or whatever, they just don't even really know that like you need an arranger if you're doing like a bigger orchestral thing, or like a producer to be a goalie to cut out like the 10 minutes of riffs before the song starts, like whatever. And it's just because they don't have that that skill set. They don't realize that there's a whole other skill set that needs to happen. And you guys seem to have really embraced that, at least. And there, it sounds like for a while it was a lot of the things were outsourced, and then you've taken them back because now you have that skill set within the band. So it makes way more sense on a number of different levels, not the least of which that if you guys are writing the songs, you're getting the songwriting royalties.
Yeah, sure,
of course, and stuff like that, which is a pretty big deal, and becomes a bigger deal the longer the band is a band, But so now you guys are working with a producer in a less, I would say, almost like a less invasive sense, but still trusting them to do their job.
Yeah, I think this is the right way. Like this, the one that we finally reached at the end of Pirates or during Pirates, and that we will work, like the workflow that we will have for the next record, that we are already having actually for the next record, because there are a couple of songs that are already written and 2 of them are already produced, actually, almost 3 right now. So like things are already moving, but right now we're doing it the right way. Like the ideas come from us. Like we really serve on the plate a song that is complete with arrangements, with guitars, with bass, with vocals, fake lyrics still,
Sure.
this is
placeholders.
Yeah, exactly. This is the last thing that we work on, that she works on. Lyrics are 100% Clemmie's trademark in Visions of Atlantis, and this is also for the previous record, to be honest, which is an important thing because she designs a universe around Visions. It's not like every song could have it does. Every song has a different and unique meaning, but there is an overall picture that has to be kept in mind, and this a universe that has to be designed, and this is 100% coming from Clemmie. But yeah, right now, as you said, the producer work is less invasive. I like this word, but still impactful. This is also a thing, like there are parts of the new songs that have been really cut out from the song, for instance, and at a certain point, I remember you even said, okay, but one thing is, changing a riff. One other thing is, cutting out a part or being, and I was like, you know what, I'm okay with this, because I still believe that the vision of the producer is something that needs to be listened to, like needs to be taken into account. And he, like Felix in this case, because we really trust him, he really has a good ear, a good eye, a good way of impacting on our music, understanding what's not necessary by the for the listener, actually. Because I also believe that one issue with musicians in general is that we think of the songs for how we play them. So of course, one thing is playing a song, and if a riff is played 4 times in a row for 4 cycles, this might be cool in terms of musicianship, but it might be unnecessary in terms of listening experience. And this is a huge difference, Like if I enjoy playing something, it doesn't mean that someone enjoys listening to this for 4 times. So it might be that 2 are enough. And this is probably hard, to relate with for all the musicians. If there is I
could kiss you on the mouth for saying that. My whole audience needs to hear that shit.
And sometimes we get, a bit wanky in what we do. Like, oh, this is so cool. Let's show off that I can do it 4 times in a row with the same technique and with the same skill. Like, oh, this is
with no variation.
Exactly. So of course. I bang my head. I enjoy what I'm doing. It's like winning, a Guitar Hero after having played Through the Fire and Flames twice in a row. If I do it, I'm so proud of myself. But there are other people there that wants to play too. You see what I mean? So it's complicated.
It's finding the balance in the way between, like, I do believe that when you write music, the very origin, the very source is about yourself, for yourself. Like there is something that needs to come out, and it comes out of you because this is like, you're designed to put that out. But as much as it comes from within, it is to be thrown out there to the world, to people. to listeners, to music lovers, to people who will exactly need what you came up with. So exactly like that, it's a matter of, this is how I feel like my music that right now is on the plate. This is what I felt. This is where it is. This is me. And that's why it's so sensitive to come back to musicians not being able to drop things and be like it has to be, because it comes from such an vulnerable place when it's genuine, of course. And so you bring that up and you're like, this is exactly how I want my music to be like. And you have someone from the outside judging it from his own emotional response, but also from his own knowledge, because our producer, of course, like he's a musician, he's educated in music, he has an analysis of music. There's objectivity mixed up with subjectivity, and he would be like, yeah, well, though your idea is really cool, but as you said, this is too much self-reflecting. Like, it's too much about how much you enjoy singing this, doing this, but we need to make it in a way that other people would welcome that and be touched and this also is something that a lot of songwriters sometimes don't want to take too much into account. Like, why is it that my music, no one is interested in it? Because you make it for yourself and you don't consider who's listening to it. The same with production level. You want your songs to be added to playlists. You want your songs to be loved and all, and you put zero effort in making it at the production level that is what is out there in the world, what people are used to listen to. You make a home production that doesn't sound good and you want people to dig your sound. Yeah, but you have to put yourself in the ears of the people who are going to listen to that from the outside. And yeah, it has to be true, but it has to be polished to the world.
Yeah, this is why I believe Trey also tells people this, especially new bands. I always tell them, don't make an EP, don't make an album, just make singles, because you don't even know yet if what you're writing is going to even resonate with anybody, right? Yeah. And it's extremely expensive and time consuming to make an EP or an album. Like, that's just a lot of wasted time and money just to find out that, oh, what I wrote didn't resonate, I have to try something else, right? So I always tell people, do a single, spend as much money as you possibly, no, that's not money, you should make it the best production you can possibly make it.
Yeah.
And if you wrote, write 10 songs, right? You chose the one song that you thought was the best song, right? You spent all your effort, time, and money to make the best possible production. And if that fails, chances are the album was not chances, guaranteed the album was not going to work.
If your best song doesn't pop off, putting an album's worth of effort into it and promotion and everything behind it, then of course, a whole album would have been, each song would have been a 10th as good, and
right.
So once you're taking it seriously as a real band and people actually care about what you've got to offer, then it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. Then you can get into EPs and doing more stuff.
Yeah, you also have more chances to get a decent deal.
Yeah,
if you start with singles, because if you are interesting with one or two songs, you don't have everything already prepared and spoiled, and you can, deal with the label for what will happen afterwards. Yeah. But if you have a record that is ready and you invested your money into it and everything is done and settled, but you are still it's more likely that you have wasted time. Yeah, I agree 100%.
I've noticed in my personal experience that if you have an album that's already completely done and you're going to a label and you do sign with a label, they don't take it as seriously. I guess mostly because they know the deal they're going to make with you is not going to be very fruitful for them, because the album's done, it's already paid for and everything, right? They're basically just distributing that album at that point.
Yeah.
So they don't feel like they have to put that much effort, and it kind of, in my experience, I don't know, is
I agree.
Not really worth it if you're in that position.
Yeah.
It also feels more special, if one or two songs are good enough to make you stand out, to make you interesting, it makes, people behind the desk think that some investment is worth it.
Yeah, that happened to our buddy Jason, his band Helion Prime. The band's very first song that they released, and it was the very first song as a band, went viral. Like, they got over 1 million views on YouTube and all this. That's a good indication.
that they've got something worth something.
Hey, that's you probably got something there, right? And then they made an album and they got signed and all that stuff. But yeah,
See,
yeah.
Cool.
That's the way
Very
to do
cool.
it. So, oh no, go ahead.
No, it's just I remember the question that was asked to me, like to walk
See,
you guys
yeah,
through.
that was what I was about to come back around to it. That's good though. That means that we're in the right spot. Yeah. So yeah. So let's why don't you walk us through the creation of one of the songs. I mean Master of the Hurricane's my personal favorite. It's also a really long one, so it's there's probably a lot, but that one or one that you can like remember the most of or whatever. Just what was the little boop, the little thing that you were like, oh, I got to get this down, and then to the end.
So as I was telling you on the boat, with me, it's pretty weird sometimes because repeating myself again, I have this radio that is always playing in my mind. Remember we were making the Lou Reed example, and everything, in which I reflect myself. Like there is this radio that plays the song in my brain, and sometimes I just need to close my eyes and listen to what's going on. And of course, this is where all my experience and all my studies makes sense right now, because thanks to harmonic knowledge, theory knowledge, and of course Cubase and DAW's knowledge, I can actually transpose what I hear into music that is forgeable and editable on the computer. This is the hard part. But in general, if I close my eyes and listen to what's going on, I hear everything. And the more I focus, the more I listen. As if you're listening to a song, when you start focusing on the kick drum, you hear how the kick drum goes. If you start focusing on the guitars, you hear how the guitars go. And then it's about how much you understand what's going on, because exactly as if you're listening to the radio, to understand and track down the riff, you need to combine your knowledge and your abilities and your ear and trying to practice. And this is exactly what I do. I start listening to the notes, I start defining the key. Of course, once the key is defined, in the case of Master the Hurricane, actually everything started with a chorus, to be honest. I started from there because I think, okay, this is the part that I don't want to lose. If anything happens, this is what I want to keep exactly as I'm listening to it right now, in my brain, of course. So I started with the chords, like easy. Like I took my guitars, I found the right one in terms of key, because I have several guitars, each one in different keys, so that it simplifies the recording process. And once the key was found, I was like, okay, it goes like this, and I found the harmonic cycle to track down. Put down the harmonic cycle with the guitars, recorded the guitars, I start to write the drums. This is the second step, because I believe that guitars, melody, and rhythm are the three fundamental elements for my way of songwriting. So the melody, I keep it in mind. I have it, I save it. I'm a singer, I can sing it anytime. But guitars, I need to understand what's going on. And drums, I need to write it down. Of course, I hear it, so it's easier, and it got easier and easier with time. But then, I open my Cubase. I use Easy Drummer for drums with some Steven Slate triggers on it to, how it works.
Sauce it up a bit.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, to make it a bit more real and efficient. And I opened my preset, because I have a preset, of course, template on Cubase, starting to write down the drum pattern. And once everything worked, the next step is taking my SM7 and recording the main vocal line, which normally sounds super shit because it's lines that I wrote for her, that I write for her. So it's like me singing like, Virgin storm, bring the rain. I do this.
Uncanny.
I know this pain.
Yeah.
I've
when she goes lyrical, I fake the lyrical voice, and
I would love to hear some of those demos.
Privately, yes. Publicly, Okay, and
Glorious.
from the chorus, then I start to define what's. I mean, I need to re-listen the song in my mind, so I stop once everything works, and I like recollect the fact that it's fine, that is exactly how I had it in mind. This is where I start re-listening to what I have in mind and work on other parts. Of course, now it's where the orchestra becomes important, because sometimes in visions it's not the voice that tracks the main line, the main melody, but it might be like the flute, or it might be a violin, it might be, like this pa-da-ba-pum, pa-da-ba-pum,
Yeah, the themes.
Yeah, I've
this
noticed
theme,
that.
yeah, this theme is on the strings, and it begins with a flute. So I need to first of all find the instrument that I'm listening to, which can be painful, because sometimes it means like scrolling through libraries and libraries and libraries until you find the right one. But also this gets easier and easier with time. And I wrote down that line, then I wrote down another line, so that I build up the song just with the main lines. This is something that I do, so like flute, then violins, then guitar theme, the solo, down, 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 down. This was a guitar solo at the very beginning. Now it's a blend between guitars and strings. So I build up the song considering the main line, because once the main melody is tracked down and it goes from the beginning to the end, everything else is about building harmonies, and this can also be changed. Like, I'm not so attached to the original version that I have in mind, because sometimes the simple chord progression that I have in mind can be tweaked. This is something we do so often, like sometimes she's like, okay, I like this, but I'm sure we can get to something more twisty, like twisty, like with something more interesting,
twisty,
and we, of course, every melody has a simple chord progression below it, but it can be changed. Sometimes a minor chord can become diminished, or a major chord can become minor, and still the progression works, in terms of emotion, because in the end it's all about the emotional level. And this is something we really worked on afterwards. So main melody, main chords progression below the melody, and I build up the song. Then I write the drums. And then I start arranging a basic orchestra like support, I would say, with just first, third, fifth, or sometimes fourth, like super basic. And once the skeleton of the song is ready, I start arranging. But in this process, in the arranging process, there are a lot of chord changes. There are a lot of like add-ons that comes with other orchestral instrument. Sometimes there are plot twists in which the original instrument is changed completely, because I realized that, okay, this is what I was hearing, but maybe with this other instrument it sounds better. This happened, for instance, substantially, I mean, not in a song that I wrote, but Heroes of the Dawn changed completely, because at the very beginning we didn't have this ethnic flute playing the melody. It was a guitar, remember?
The song is from Wanderers, from Pirates.
And it was like a generic song, but then that ethnic flute made the song one of our most listened, basically.
Yeah, it gave it this folk touch that just fit the song so well and transported the listener into a completely different place. Yeah, the choice of instrument and colors is so peculiar, so important.
Yeah. So of course, like, again, melody, harmonic progression, build up of the most basic version, and then I start asking things. But the original part is super spontaneous, super simple, super efficient and straightforward. And from there is where the knowledge starts to make a difference. But before that, the song has to work. Like, the most basic version of the song needs to be efficient, otherwise, it goes to the trash up.
So do you do all the keyboards and orchestrations on the albums and
in the pre-productions?
In pre-production, okay.
Because afterwards we have this guy called Lucas Knobel. He works for a lot of other bands, Xandria, Serenity, several others. I won't remember them all, but he works for many others, and he's a cinematic score writer. So he also writes for video games, he also writes for movies and everything else. And we decided, again, from Pirates. Pirates is the first record, to put him in charge of the final orchestration. So I send him the MIDIs, and from that he does his thing. Sometimes it's really changing things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a matter of having better libraries, better sounds, more realistic material. This is, an important part of the game.
Of course.
Yeah. So, at what point do you hand it off to Clementine for the vocals, for the lyric writing, or are you? Yeah. So, and when you get it, are the melodies all mostly there, or are you also writing some melodies along with the lyrics?
Well, most of the time, at least for the last 3 records, I start writing the final lyrics once the melody is final. Because, we want to not make that mistake that a lot of European bands used to do, is like having a broken English over the melodies, right? Where, unfortunately, the words you chose, they don't match the rhythm, the accent, whatever. And this is terrible. So we try.
I think Nightwish to this day, they have somebody helping them with that. They have the guy from Apocalyptica.
All right, but that's great because of course you're not a native speaker, so I always make mistakes on accents. Tonic
What do you
accents.
mean? I am a native speaker now.
Yeah, like that one time I said Canada, and they looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, sorry.
Everybody knows Canadian.
I think people probably
It's because you say Canadian, but you say Canada. It is
right,
fucked my mind up, right?
Right, yeah. There's a lot of weird English rules.
Yeah. So
I think probably people would forget because you guys speak great English. And then you like make a little mistake like that, and they're like, "Oh, right, you guys this is your second language that you're speaking in. Oh, wow."
Yeah, so we definitely
I can barely speak it as my first language.
Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really want to avoid that. So in order not to spend it would be a waste of time to start writing lyrics on confirmed melodies, because what if we change a thing, whatever we would change, I would have to probably write an entire paragraph again. And because I put so much effort in trying to bring value to the lyrics and not just sing the first thing that comes to my mind, whatever, I want to wait for the very final version so that I know who sings what. I know how the songs evolves. I know the color of our voices, and then I can picture a whole image, like characters, or ambience, or even storyline. And I don't really manage to do that if I'm not 100% sure of what's going to be the final thing. Because otherwise, it might be it could be that I would have to completely change my approach to the song, and this could be just counterproductive. Yeah. So I do get to writing lyrics when the pre-production are written in stone, probably most of the time, and so I know the melodies, and sometimes, even if I know the melodies, words come naturally to them, and I keep that. And I put that as a start. It could be in the chorus, it could be on the bridge, it could be the first line, it could be the end. It never is the same. But I get inspired by something. And sometimes even from our fake lyrics, because we still sing real words. Sometimes they just don't make any sense put together, but it's still real words. And sometimes there is one sound that I love, or that one word I love, like in Master of the Hurricane, clay, that we sing in the chorus. It's like that word here. It's difficult to put clay in lyrics, but it fit. And I put that one in there in the final lyrics, and I'm gonna write something around that will make sense.
Devin Townsend does a similar method of writing lyrics. He does it actually almost. I think just that way, right?
I don't know. I've never seen him do it, but. You mean like gibberish and then replacing it with real words?
He'll just basically sing whatever comes to mind first. It mostly is gibberish, but sometimes there's a word or two. He's like, maybe I could start from here, and I like this. I want to keep this.
Because in the end, when you start singing, there is especially there is something that is no longer so conscious. This singing is connecting to your soul in a way, and for me, at least, sometimes I sing stuff and it's like messages that I wasn't aware of, or things I needed to dig into, like sentences or just things I would say and that revealed to me something that I wasn't aware of. or something that I just needed to say, and like, wow. And I sometimes I feel like it doesn't even come from me, like it's channeling something else. And and when that happens, it's just stronger. You can't resist this. You're like, this is what I have to talk about. This is what I have to say here. And then I build a song around it. And I love to be in my zone to write lyrics. Generally, I do that over 3 weeks, every night for 2 hours per night. Sometimes nothing happens in 2 hours, but at least I had words spinning in my head, images and feelings and all. And sometimes it flows. And I let the song inspire something to me. So the song has to touch me first. It's really difficult to write when you're not touched, like when it's not inspiring you anything, really. It's like, I know this is going to be so artificial. What I'm going to write, I have to write it. So it's easier when I'm touched by the music, and I can create like a movie in my head. That's why I love Visions to be such a visual band now, because I think I'm in love with the visual work that goes with music. I think when I listened to music when I was a kid, it was inspire me, colors and all, and shapes, and it's music and images to me are just completely intertwined. And I start from a feeling, from a picture, from characters, from a storyline that I feel would fit the mood of the song. And I have a list of all the words that fit the pirate world, because I'm like, I use the pirate word as a metaphor for whatever we go through. So there's always a double meaning in the song.
Can I ask real quick, at what point did you guys decide that this album was going to be pirates, like straight up pirates? And like, did that come because you wrote a song that fit that, and then you were like, let's make it the whole album? Or like, were you going into the writing process knowing like every song is going to be pirate themed, and then you know what I mean?
So there are 2 questions in your question.
There was.
So
sorry.
No, quickly. First one, when I joined Visions of Atlantis late 2013, I told Thomas he wanted to make a final record and a goodbye. Like he wanted
that was the plan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he wanted to end it. He was all over, like the lineup broke up in a very horrible way, and he was fed up. After 15 years, he was like, "I do final record and like just try to end the band in a nice way than just falling apart." Like
Jason needs to listen to this podcast.
Listen, Jason, listen.
So one last record, a goodbye tour. That was it. So I told Tom, okay. He was like, "Would you, Clementine from Serenity?" I was in Serenity back then. "Would you like to help us do that?" That was the plan. I was like, I felt so sorry. And also,
you were going to help him lower the body into the grave.
Exactly. It was like, I like symphonic metal. I would have loved to have a record like that, because this is where I come from when it comes to my history with metal. So I was like, yeah, sure, I want to help you that. My only condition is that I write the lyrics, because I don't want to, like, if I sing someone else's music's fine, but if I sing someone else's music, there's so little I can connect with that I'm going to lose my interest, like in my motivation. So I was like, told him I need to write the lyrics. So I was like, all right, I'm joining Visions of Atlantis. I have to write lyrics for this band. What is the band universe about? And then you go through the discography and you see all the changes of the lineup, changes of mood in the songwriting and all. And you try to find a thread, like the one thing that sticks the whole history together. It's the ocean. It was the element that always was there. So I was like, all right. So we keep the ocean. It's nice. You can sing so much using the ocean as itself, or for metaphor, or for historical backgrounds. The ocean is so rich. So I was like, that's cool. And then I thought, okay, we're metalheads. We're sort of rebels, and we sing about the ocean. Who are the rebels of the ocean? It's pirates.
Yes.
And back in 2013, I was like, oh my God, Thomas, we have to become a pirate band. With just the imagery, because it makes so much sense, and it's so strong, and it's amazing, and everyone loves pirates or has a relationship to pirates, has something they can relate to with pirates. It's a universal, timeless theme, And it was like, no. I'm sorry, no, I don't like pirates. It's lame. It's got to be carnival. I was like,
Which was a risk.
Absolutely.
Even for now, you know.
Back then,
this was a huge risk. For us,
back then there was no such theme band. You know, there was no big Powerwolf yet around. There was no like workings or bands that had a theme like that going on. And it was 2013, so. Maybe I was just too early. But I'm Aquarius. I'm a pioneer, you know. Anyway, so I was like, too bad, but I'm not giving up on that idea. So I did already back then for the Deep in the Dark throw in some pirate stuff. Like if you listen to the Silent Mutiny, it is a pirate song. If you watch our video, The Deep in the Dark, they are the people from Jebenicht Privateers, a Swedish pirate band. They appear in the song, in the video.
There was a pirate fight.
There's a pirate fight. So in a way, I was like, okay, we're not going to be pirates, but we're going to be some sailors related to that theme. And Wanderers was just another way of being around the pirate theme. It's like we were like wrecked people, you know, like lost souls, like wandering to understand who they are and what their goal was. It was like the pre-state of actually acknowledging, yeah, we are pirates. And so I never gave up on that idea. And when we started to write for pirates, the theme was not there yet. So some of the songs, like Melancholy Angel, for instance, was written far before the process. So this was not yet having the pirate theme in mind. That is why, if you listen to the song itself, doesn't convey any pirate-ish vibe at all. Even now with the lyrics, it doesn't, but it doesn't matter. It's at some point rewrote together Pirates Will Return because I was like still wanting to have a pirate vibe, and this song came from my piano theme you have at the beginning that I always heard with an organ, and I was like, I want to start a song with that, and we wrote that song like flowing part after part, and we called it Pirates Will Return. And then we were like, how are we going to call our record? And we thought of calling it Pirates Will Return. And then at some point our producer was like, but you guys, you seem to be like talking about pirates all the time, and your music is so related to pirates. And why aren't you just a pirate band? And when he said that, it was the right time from the right person to the right person. And then, Thomas at that time understood that this could be a move that would help our band push it further, make it more substantially consistent. And so,
you incepted it into his mind back in 2013.
I know.
At the time, he was like, nah,
the longest inception ever.
And then the producer's like, hey, why don't you do this? And he's like, I thought of the idea for us to be a pirate band. Yeah, sure, buddy.
DiCaprio, you suck in comparison to this girl.
So I think it just took the time it needed to take, and I'm very happy it happened because I was already convinced 10 years ago that it was what we were supposed to do. I don't know if we would have changed anything if we would have done it earlier. Maybe it doesn't matter now; it's done. And so in the middle of the songwriting process, it was stated officially, like, guys, now we belong visually and lyrically and musically to a certain degree to a more parodies universe. Yet, and this is very important because we get that question a lot, we still are a symphonic metal band. So we do not want to write pirate music per se. We might come up sometimes with some cool songs that reflect the party mood of pirates and or the warfare of pirates. And having those organic instruments from back in the days because it just is cool. But we're not gonna be a new Elstorm or Running Wild, being a pirate band 100%. We do symphonic metal, but our universe is put back into a fantasy pirate world, meaning it's not history related. It's completely made up because it's just way more fun. We bring in magic into it too. In all our videos, there is something magical going on. So it's all what we love thrown into that.
Going back to the songwriting topic, like fully into the songwriting topic, I think this is extremely important. Like we never write the songs thinking this has to be a pirate song. This is what makes the difference. It didn't happen to pirates. And I think it's extremely important that we keep this mindset, that we avoid this mentality also for our future productions, because what I think makes a huge difference in Visions of Atlantis is that we keep the unicity of the band in terms of sound, because in the end, for as much as everyone might say, or a lot of comments on YouTube might say, oh, you are just copying Nightwish, you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. I truly believe that there is a huge difference between VOA and others, all the other symphonic metal bands, because first of all, they were the first, and we still are the one and only band who has 2 clean male vocalists in symphonic metal.
Very, very big difference.
Which
right
is
there.
Which is an extremely important thing. And when I write melodies, or when we write melodies in general, we always think to have 2 strong hooks. This makes it really difficult to me, at least. Like I like discard a lot of melodies because they work for one singer only, and they have to work for 2 singers. In our case, this is a important thing to keep in mind when you write, and it makes it extremely more difficult than extremely harder compared to write a song for one singer only. Because when we sing on stage, we sing it together, and if my hook is like not as cool as her, then the song loses something. So it's rare that she has a hook and I sing, a harmony only. Or it happens for some songs, but they are mixed differently. This is also something I was telling you in the on the boat. Melancholy Angel, which is a song that doesn't come from us, and this is something that you can tell by the way it's written. For instance, has Clemmy in the center of the mix, and my voice is spread aside, because this is a song written basically for one singer that we divided as a duet. It's a regular duet. It's not a symphonic, a Visions of Atlantis symphonic metal trademarked track. Which it's different. Like if you analyze it, if you listen to it, if you notice this little detail, it really changes the complete approach that we have in the songwriting, and that a listener might have in listening to Visions of Atlantis. One thing is writing a duet for 2 singers, when at a certain point the second singer jumps in, sings the second verse, sings the second chorus, and then they do it together. One harmonizes the other for the main melody in the final version, or in the final chorus. This is one thing. A completely different thing is writing song for 2 singers, and this, and we are not a growler and a clean singer as many others have, and I think this is extremely, extremely peculiar in Visions of Atlantis. It was there back then, it is still there right now, and this, to my eyes and to my ears, makes us unique.
Yeah, I mean, what's the only other band I can think of is, it's not really 2 singers, but Avantasia is the only one that has multiple.
Which is a metal opera.
Right.
Which is a metal opera.
Yeah.
So it's not like the official lineup where there is like the guy and the girl.
Yeah. I can't think of any other band. Can you? No, not in metal, at least.
Well, not in symphonic metal.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not in symphonic.
Like,
exactly.
Like Kuna Coil has like a similar thing, but they don't sound anything.
But he growls a lot.
Yeah, he
does growl a lot.
He growls a lot.
I think Marco Iatala though, from Nightwish, was
still
a clear singer.
But it was not the trademark to have 2 singers duetting.
No.
There was like a song here and there.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, Marco was singing, Master Passion Greed, or this other track, there is another famous one, the ballad that he sings.
Islander.
The Islander, exactly. So of course it happened that he was singing, but it's not duets all the time, and it's not like duets with 2 hooks, which really
for sure
makes it hard on the songwriting level.
Yeah, so you're approaching it differently is the important thing. Like there are maybe other bands who do something similar, but there's a huge difference in your mindset going into it and the way that you're looking at it. You can't, like you said, you can't just sort of go back and forth, like tack on some random stuff. You're always thinking of it in terms of it's a duet.
Absolutely. And especially again from the chorus, from the hook of the song. This is where both lines have to be efficient. So writing for one singer is a completely different thing. Because if a melody works for one singer, it's not given that you can harmonize with a harmony that is as efficient as the hook. It's absolutely a different world, So sometimes you have to change things to make it work. You have to change melodies. You have to sometimes discard melodies because they just don't work, So it's complicated. But anyways, what I was saying is that despite this, we still don't write pirate songs. We write Visions of Atlantis songs, and then it's the lyrics and the universe that Clemmy creates around the songs that makes it piratish. If we were singing about, I don't know, flowers and animals, we would not be a pirate band, but the songs would still be the same.
Right.
And this is also peculiar, in my opinion. This is something that we need to keep in mind, and I personally fight for. Because sometimes our producer told us, why don't you write pirate songs that goes into, that universe from the very beginning? And I'm like, you know what? To me, this would be a mistake. I really care about keeping the musical visions of Atlantis as it is, and then we create a world around it.
Yeah. And also with the lyrics, as much as I want them to be obviously talking about oceans and pirates and all, in the end, I want people to be able to relate. If you talk about just the story or back in the days of whatever pirates and what they did, it might be very interesting for people interested in history, but it might not make them relate in their own life of 2023. If you just read the lyrics, even of Master of the Hurricane, I do talk about a freaking storm coming over, but you can just have a storm in your life at any time. It doesn't have to be on a ship. It doesn't have to be like massive waves and tornadoes and all destroying you. It could be
people
just
bring their own meaning to.
Exactly, and this is something that is very important to me. Coming back to the fact that we do music for others, also as we do it for us, is like I want it to be able to help people so that they can relate, try to have the most universal message, because this is meant for people to enjoy and find comfort.
And presumably people who are listening to your music aren't all pirates, right?
Exactly.
So like you're not writing songs maybe there's like a ship full of Somali pirates somewhere who are like your biggest fans, but if you want people to relate.
I love that band, Visions of Atlantis.
If you want people to relate,
this is good pirating music.
It's just a vehicle for the thing for the meaning.
Yeah. Pirates are human beings, and they experience feelings and doubts and fears and issues as much as we do. And it's like I want to give those humans a voice that people can relate with, and it just looks cool. It just looks like a movie. It's just part of that fantasy universe.
Also, there's already bands like Ailstorm and Swashbuckle
why would you
and all these bands out there. Like, why would you want to copy them anyway?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
I definitely agree with what you guys ended up sticking
not to forget that anyways our pirate universe is really romantic in general. It's not like we are the pirates that go seize other ship and assault people and everything else. We come from a world. We create a world in which pirates are heroes in a way.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know my pirate history too well, but didn't pirates actually start off like that?
Well,
I don't know my pirate history too much, but didn't it
it's
start off that way?
It's about freedom.
It's
Right.
outcasts.
It's about freedom.
Yeah, people who at some point had the guts to break rules and be criminals.
Yeah.
Like I had an interviewer once who was like, "Why did you choose the pirates' themes? They're robbers and killers and criminals." Like he had such a negative.
Right.
Yeah. And
there were pirates that did that, but that wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
That was it.
Right.
Like in order to survive, they needed to get they needed to assault other ships to get the treasures, and of course they probably wanted that freedom and living in somewhere else. It was that period of time where we were discovering the world, So it might have felt like anything is possible. I can get that money, and then I can build my life alone, away from, the governments and the kingdoms that was around there and being so oppressive. So there was they were seeking freedom, exactly, as you said, but in a brutal way. It was definitely not a peaceful thing. But our approach, as you said, is more about the explorer. To me, pirates are like freedom seekers that explore the world in their own way with their own values. And if I want to say to people today, you can be a pirate, it means you can think by yourselves, make your own decisions, be connected to your heart, follow your intuition, and do not follow the rules that just make you unhappy.
Right. Yeah.
So you're going into it with this mindset of that it's going to be this fantasy pirate world. You know, obviously you're not. It's it's not like the sort of like hardened criminal pirates pillaging the way that we think of it today.
Yarmity.
You've got this this more romantic fantasy vision of your pirate universe, and so within the process of writing these songs, we've got basically the melodies are now set in stone on a pre-pro version of the song. So now Clem's got them, and it's time to write lyrics, and you're steeped in this idea, this world. What is like most of how you go about it then? I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but so tell us a little bit more about what you'll do to get the song from, like you said, the sort of gibberish lyrics you've got or whatever for these melodies to the final, like these are what they're going to be.
Well, it says like as I said, I start from whatever part that genuinely, almost unconsciously inspires me. Start like a word or something, and of course I use the emotions and the picture I build in my mind around the song, like what the song can be about. Sometimes I picture a character, like for instance the song called I Will Be Gone, like the last song of the record, because of this march it has on the snare and all. It gave me the feeling, oh my God, someone's gonna get executed, and I pictured a man in a cell, and I was like, okay, that song is about what is that man thinking about. And he's a pirate, of course. But that's how it started, for instance. With Master of the Hurricane, I remember that word clay in that chorus. I was like, I need to keep that. And of course, when you talk about clay, it's like clay, it's fragile. Okay, it's the opposite of rock. And then rock that turns into clay, something that is like falling apart. And this song had a atmosphere of the tension, of something that could be like massive, and then you have this bridge that is so with so much vulnerability. So there's a duality there. I was like, okay, something that gets destroyed and something to find. I put some concepts together and make them spin, let's say, with some ideas and words, and then there is a clarity of what exactly I want to talk about, and then I put myself into the character that I see, which is a hard part within myself. It's all about things that I've experienced, that I've felt. That is why sometimes lyrics from the beginning to the end, the character is going through something. That's why sometimes I like to change the final chorus. Like I changed the lyrics, like Master of the Hurricane is a great example of that, because the song is so long. I wanted the character to come from one place and end up in another. As a song, as a little story that with a little message, and so when I feel that, I need to find that message. I need to find a way to put them together, and sometimes I circle around two lines for a long time because it like doesn't click until I'm like, this is it. It always can be put better. It always can be improved because I'm not climbing like I'm the best lyric writer ever, but at some point I'm like, this is good enough. It works with the melody, it's understandable, it's nice to sing, and then I have so many parameters I take in mind more and more. Like I know how he sings better and better, so I know which sentences and which syllables help him help me, depending on which notes we're facing. And musicality is the thing I want to be put as a priority. It's like no matter what I want to say, if it doesn't serve the musicality, if that doesn't serve the melody, I don't keep it, because I want people to sing along. I want people to understand what we're talking about, and you have to at some point keep the musicality of the words themselves. So it's so many parameters altogether. That's why it takes me quite some time, and that's why I don't want to start this before I'm 100% sure, because it's a lot of, it's consumes so much energy to get there. but it's also it's amazing because suddenly you have a picture, you have a small movie coming up here, and like people get 10% of what's happening in my mind because they don't see what I see, but I describe what I need to describe to make it consistent, and hoping that as I said, it touches people, they can connect to that.
I think that a common element that connects both the songwriting in terms of on the musical aspect and on the lyric aspect, and then also in the visual aspect when it comes to videos and visual universe of the band, is that we really give priority to the emotional level compared to what happens in our minds in terms of brain work. Because in the end, I can recall a lot of moments in which I was like writing the music to serve an atmosphere that I was feeling and that I wanted to recreate in terms of music, which is basically what she's describing in terms of lyric writing. She has picture, she has atmosphere, she has universe. It's like as if you're watching a movie or if you're watching a video or whatever, and you want to bring what you see and feel on the fourth dimension actually to the music. And it's the same to the lyrics, sorry. And it's the same that I do for the music. There is this fourth dimension that is somehow ethereal that I want to evoke through the music. And I want people to feel like they are there. They are in what I'm summoning, in what I'm, crafting music-wise. And this is a discussion that we often have with Felix, with our producer, because sometimes he modifies something that, for as cool as it can be, it takes away from the emotional feeling. Yeah. And this is where, as an artist, we might say, listen, Felix, this is super cool, but you are taking away, the... how do you say the life?
Yeah, you're destroying
element.
A little bit the image or the what was that we had built in our mind.
Yeah, the fourth dimension has changed, and this is important. This is something that to me is untouchable when it comes to songwriting by anyone. Like if the song doesn't stick to the dimension, to the fourth dimension in which I brought it, then there is a problem. This is something I can't accept from the producer, from anyone else, because I need to feel this connection. I am there, like when I'm writing, I am there. And if a song that takes me, I don't know, in a storm through the seven seas becomes a song that takes me, I don't know, to the desert with a fight, then there is a substantial emotional change that I'm not really happy with. And this happened recently with one of the new songs, for instance.
Yeah, we started to have a very nice theme and image. We started to have a name for it. We started to have like a mood going for the song. It was like, this song's going to be about that. And and the moment where we both get inspired and we're like, oh yeah, and the video could be about that. We don't spend so much time in the car because we go to Austria to rehearse or to meet the guys or to shoot something. That we wrote song
in a car itself,
like together, like oh, and then just like improvising with our mouth and our whatever. That was so cool. And and sometimes we just brainstorm the same with the idea of what's like the songs can be carried by, from the music itself to suddenly another dimension when it comes to what it's gonna tell, what the story it's gonna tell. Because song in the end, a song is a song because there is singing, and if there is singing, there is lyrics, and these cannot be separate. These must go hand in hand. Otherwise, you have the form and the meaning that just it doesn't click, And we had that song, and the producer started to work on it, and he twisted apart, and it felt like we were watching that movie together, and then suddenly there is like the cops coming onto your pirate ships, and like this doesn't fit at all. Just take that away, please.
Sometimes the mix is better, the quality of every single instrument is better, the instruments are played better, but you lose the atmosphere, and this is a problem. Like this specific song, I had in mind this pirate captain playing the organ, in the back of the ship, in his cabin, and in the ship,
Totally from Pirates of the Caribbean, yes.
super
with his
so
tentacles. I mean,
That's so epic.
Actually, that's the thing. This is how I was picturing. It's somehow sacred, somehow gothic, somehow holy, somehow mystical. Because of course, in this specific track, I felt like there was fire burning the ship, him playing while everything was getting destroyed, blah 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 blah. Really, really tense in terms of air that you breathe. Like there was tension in the air. Things getting complicated and dense, and all of a sudden we send the song to Felix, and he sends it back with his arrangement, and I'm listening to a pirate song where like there is a crowd singing, basically, like more of a chant with the pirates all collected on the ship singing together, and I was like, okay, where is the sacred element? Where is the mystical element? Where is everything else? And believe me, his mix sounded better. His edits were amazing, but I told him we need to bring back the atmosphere that I've lost. So some edits has been done in terms of levels, in terms of instruments, in terms of arrangements. Same riff, same arrangements, same passages. Like basically nothing changed from the edits that he did, but we brought back the arrangements that were missing, the sounds, the vibes, the atmosphere that was missing, and now the song works.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just not about how you play the song, or how you arrange it, or how you mix it. Sometimes it's about finding the right mood and finding a way to evoke the right thing to the listeners. It's The fourth dimension is important.
Yeah. The storytelling, like our songs, we used to call even ourselves like symphonic, cinematic pirate metal, because through our videos we wanted to be very cinematic, and also in our music and our arrangements, as he said, like the mood, taking like the colors and the instruments we're going to choose for the arrangements, like it was just about putting the organ back in that part, for instance.
Organ and choirs.
Organ
in
and
this
choirs,
specific case, for instance, organ and choirs were like the choirs were drowned in the mix, and the organ was missing. We brought back the organ, and the choirs became massive again, and everything was back. It's
I love me some organs and choirs.
Yeah.
And this is and paying attention of having those elements. It's because we want to evoke. We want to like have people close their eyes and be thrown into a complete different universe. And we can do that with sound. It's absolutely
definitely. Harpsichord. You need that next. Harpsichord.
Sure,
Yeah. Exactly. With this fucking harpsichord.
Yeah, and
I've been known to play the harpsichord. I don't know. I feel like it invokes that image of like that kind of right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's from that period of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's difficult sometimes to have it around because it's so ding ding.
Yeah, right.
So very
pointy.
Yeah.
So very pointy. You have to really like write a part for it that would serve that specific
Definitely.
sound. But we have it in mind. Yeah. But I'm in love with organs because it has this dramatic darkness with it that just fits metal so much.
And so much range. It can be dark, it can be light, it can be
You open the registers
exactly.
and everything happens.
It's
So as much as I love to use symbols and metaphors in the lyrics, I love that our music also conveys images just through the instruments we choose to support it.
I think what I've noticed, especially in metal, because there is a huge technical hurdle to get over because the music is very difficult to play. You have to get to a certain level with your instrument. After spending, many hours in the woodshed, getting a certain level, and then having to have the production hit a certain thing, we can very, very easily forget the fourth dimension thing that you're talking about. And that's the reason that sucks, is because it is the number one most important thing of all of it. Like, if you're playing a bunch of if you're playing something that's really difficult and the production is great and it's slamming and it's hitting, like, cool, but the feeling has to be right, the vibe has to be right. The whole point is to make people feel something,
absolutely.
and you're cultivating that feeling. You're a sort of what's it called?
What is it called?
what do they do in a museum when they put together a show? Curate. You're curating these feelings for people, like stuff like the organ, the choir, like the very particular vibe to surround everything that you're doing. It's all just to make people feel something, and evoking that fourth dimension thing. And the
fourth dimension is sick.
And of course the mix can greatly affect that because it changes your perception of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the producer's job is to make it, is to enhance that and get it. They don't always do it.
Well,
sometimes
that's why I always
miss
tell people. That's why it's very important to try and make sure the producer understands your vision, right? Mm-hmm. Because if they understand your vision, then they know, okay, no, this is what they're going for. I got to do this in order to achieve that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I believe that this. I like this term, this fourth dimension thing. I think it's really cool. But awareness.
I'll credit you.
Awareness. Yeah, thank you. This is the title of the interview.
Yeah. let's go into
the fourth
dimension.
Visions of Atlantis.
So awareness of this dimension, I think it's important because sometimes, like right now that I'm thinking it through, I also believe that this is something that might be missing in many bands. Like sometimes the music is cool, the riffing is cool, the technique goes beyond someone else's, but the fourth dimension might be missing. And this is something that probably makes everyone generic, sometimes.
Totally.
You have to be aware of the fourth dimension, and you have to keep track of how this is affected by the edits and the process that you apply on the song itself.
I think some people try to, force it by like saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this record without a click track, and we're gonna, do all these things to try and like force themselves to like potentially
hit a certain vibe.
Hit a certain vibe, but I don't know. My experience, this never really worked out. What do you? In your experience, do you know?
I mean, I think that sort of thing, you can tell when it didn't work because they'll tell you
as a justification,
we did it without a click track because we were trying to get this raw feel, and I'm like, well, it actually just sounds like shit.
Yeah. That's usually the case.
But we did it without
but it was genuine. It was authentic.
I mean, no matter what, you're always trying to achieve that fourth dimension vibe, whatever it is that you're going for. There's a lot of ways to get there. But if it's not natural, then it may not work.
It has to be spontaneous.
It has to be spontaneous.
But I think, protecting that thing, like the vibe you were talking about on that one song, like half the damn job is just not ruining the thing that you've got, and sometimes it's this very precious little thing, it's like an egg that was the fourth dimension egg, and you're just like protecting it, and like the producer's trying to make an omelet, and you're like, no, we gotta get it, trying to get it from there to the listener's ears the best way possible, and
totally.
And sometimes you got to clap back at the producer to get it done right.
Sure. Again, it goes beyond the riffing, goes beyond the technique. Like sometimes you can really scramble the song completely, change the riffing, modify parts, cut parts, but the fourth dimension is prevented, and this works. Like this works, and the producer's job is amazing. Sometimes it happens that the vibe goes missing, and this becomes a problem. But it has to be there at the beginning.
That's
also
exactly.
the problem, It has to be there. You have to hear it, you have to feel it, you have to picture it. It has to be something that you are aware of, because you can't force it in.
No.
It's right, Like a song might suck, but have the fourth dimension really strong, and it becomes a good song. Like for instance, there is this ballad we were writing. Probably the music is not good yet, but the fourth dimension is there because we have the picture, we have the universe, we have the feeling. So I know that there is this track in which we might still need to change a lot. We might need to change melodies, we might need to change arrangement, but we know where we are going. And this is way easier than when you have a great riff and a great chorus and everything else, but it just doesn't click. Yeah. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I think some songwriters get lost there when they come up with the very first good idea, and then and for some reason they start to disconnect from their guts, from where they're connected to the fourth dimension, and they just go with their heads like, okay, so now I'm going to make a transposition, or I'm going to turn minor or be whatever, like when they start to be in their minds more than connected to that dimension where feelings come, where you're sure like this is what you want to express. I try to generalize and not stick to our way, right. But I think the moment where you realize that you're pushing because you need to get from this part to another one that you had another day. Yeah, but if that is not from the same fourth dimension, it just will not glue together.
I think we were talking about this the other day, right?
Sometimes you have to just separate those ideas and just work from that one and see where it takes you. And from this other one, see where it takes you. We have an example for our new record, like not Pirates, but the next one, Pirates 2.
Pirates 2, Electric
where he was...
In space.
Yeah.
The return of the pirates.
He was hearing a melody, like he had a good ballad idea. And then one night I was playing with my kalimba in bed, and I was like going around a nice pattern. I was like, oh, this is cool. Put my phone record. And then I made him listen, and he was like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is great. And like the fourth dimension opened, and he connected that idea to the ballad idea he had, because it happened that both ideas were in 3/4.
Oh, wow.
So then it's just a matter
but
of...
also with the same mood.
Right,
right. And then of course my matter of key, but this key is nothing. You just... And then suddenly from my idea to his, blended, and we created a complete new song out of that.
Which will be the opening track for the new record. We're already sure about it.
And so that's amazing, because it's not always given that you can share a fourth dimension with someone. And that's actually the reason why I actually moved to Italy, because I realized that we could write music together. Like Pirates
a portal through the fourth dimension.
Yeah. It's like finally find someone where I can open up my own creative door, and he can share, like we can write from there together, and naturally. And this is gold. Like as a musician, as a songwriter, it's like I have been looking for that, because I love to create with someone else, for the exact reason that I believe I'm not good enough to be able to do it on my own, and off to this chemistry. I think it's human connection, and we're meant to connect with others, and connecting and creation. It's just wonderful.
I think I've talked to Trey about this, but I correct me if I'm wrong, Trey, but I always tell people, I always believe that there's two kinds of people that write songs. They have strengths, I should say. They have two people with different strengths. One is the person that's really good at coming up with the like the core idea of the song. Another person that's really good at like putting all the pieces together and figuring it out. And I may come up with the core idea person, and Trey. Well, I mean, I could do both, right? We could both do it. But Trey excels especially at the putting it all kind of together in pieces and stuff like that. And I don't know, like
the way that I've described it in the past is different levels of zoom. Zoom being, some people are very good at being zoomed out and seeing the big picture, and some people are more like good at either details or or incepting ideas and stuff like that. And it really helps to have two people, even if like you don't have those particular kinds of strengths one way or the other. Even like seeing somebody doing a thing and being objective from it, you are just by default doing that. You are more big picture than the person who's working on who's coming up with the thing, and like that. So having that kind of a partnership works out really good, and that's awesome that you guys found that.
Yeah. But
have you ever played Monkey Island?
Oh yeah, dude, I love the Monkey Island game.
Of all the damn those games, that was the one that I didn't play.
You're the paper, here's the glue.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious.
Now I'm gonna have to play the game to get that reference.
Yeah.
But
well, there's
I guess
quite
it's
a few
time.
of those games. You should start. You got to start with Secret Monkey Island, and then you got to play the Return of LeChuck, and then Curse of Monkey Island, and then Escape of Monkey Island, and then you have to play.
Never mind, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm gonna play.
But it's really cool. It's
It's really good. It's hilarious.
That
too.
was one of those like LucasArts games in like the pack.
Yeah.
It's the pirate game.
Yeah.
Oh, surprise.
Guybrush 3
Actually, hilariously,
Pirate.
the one that I did play was Indiana Jones and the
Fate of Atlantis.
Fate of Atlantis.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So
Yeah.
George Lucas was basically chasing visions of Atlantis because he had the pirate game
Yeah.
and he had the Fate of Atlantis game.
Yeah.
And we're
I
putting
mean,
it together.
You put it all together.
I mean,
and,
George, can we use
and
your
you
logo?
thought that we wouldn't notice. That's great. So now it sounds like, whereas presumably from your description, the way that you guys wrote Pirates was more separate, like you were working kind of by yourself and then sending stuff to you before you lived in Italy, and now you guys can actually get together and be working on this stuff together in real time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what that will, what fruit that will bear for the next one, because it's obviously gonna, it should work out pretty well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pre-production sounds good already.
Yeah,
But every artist would say this all the times.
Yeah.
You know, the next album will be the best album.
it's going to be our heaviest and most melodic, and it calls back to the old stuff, but it's moving forward and it's fresh and matured, and oh god,
Oh, it's everything.
the number of times you guys have probably had to say that shit.
No, actually, yeah. Well, the thing is, yeah, it might sound generic to say Pirates is the best album we've written so far, but it is. So it was not difficult for me to repeat that over and over again, because actually I was so convinced. And now writing together and owning our songs even more and opening the Pirates theme, going into the depths of it, because as we said, like half the material for Pirates was written without the awareness that it was going to be a pirate record. It's different than starting from scratch, knowing it's going to be in the pirate universe. So the Pirates 2, we call it like this now, will
Pirates
be even
2.
more pirate-ish. Yeah. like real pirates
Yeah.
going to be
More pirates.
More pirates. Like now we're doing a real record for that concept, you know? So there is way more to explore about the pirate theme. Like, where are the pirates going to go? Are they exploring new places? Are they fighting other pirates? Are they, you know? And there is one thing that I needed for myself to make us evolve in the universe and in the songs, also in the lyrics, is to see the progression of the band. And actually, if you start with the Deep in the Dark is where we came from. We came from the Deep in the Dark because our career was at the lowest level ever. And then we had to find ourselves. So we've been wandering with our album called Wanderers. And then we found ourselves, and we confirmed that we affirmed that we're pirates. That's why it's actually called just Pirates. And so it's like a search for our own identity. And I like to do this also with a spiritual gate open when it comes to spirituality, understanding who we are, what our purpose is, embracing our intuition, embracing the light, embracing love. And that's why there are these words coming over a lot of times in the lyrics. And it's connected to my own path as a person, my own development. And I feel like for the next one, like when you start to do any light work, very early in that stage, you think you've figured it all out. You're like, oh, I meditate, I feel so much better. Yeah, you do, because you start to bring space between yourself and your thoughts, and you understand, oh my God, I am not my thoughts. This is not the real me, or this negative thing that I'm thinking sometimes. I'm just love. I'm part of this universe, and I can find the joy back. And you're like, oh, I'm embracing the joy and all. And this is a very good first step, but it's still superficial.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I was at with Wanderers and Pirates. I was sort of understanding there is a deeper layer to that, and that's actually what self-development brings you to. It brings you downwards to the core. So you go layer after layer, deeper and deeper into your own shit, actually.
Yeah.
And I think the next record, and it's cool because the music seems to be already heavier than Pirates.
It's the heavier album we've ever written.
Like it's telling every interview, it's heavier, it's newer, but it's
darker.
the same.
Yeah. I feel like as much as you need to embrace the child within you that is hurt and that wanted attention, and that is why you have an ego. And so when you understand that, you understand that there is the shadow part of yourself that you need to face, not in the sense that you have to defeat it, but in the sense that it is a part of you that needs as much love as the bright part of you. And yeah, like I've managed in a way to have the Visions discography since I joined the band reflect my own path and also and bring in meaning. That's why when he says it's important to have a picture and then we bring it to the people, it's like literally what I connect with Visions. If I put the image of an iceberg, is like there is a huge part that is hidden for people to see just the top of it, and that top is consistent and it push our inspiration and it push our ambition because it's connected to a super enormous, deep, hidden part, which is my own spiritual work, which is like our relationship as people, as musicians, and it is that dance and because in the end, at the very bottom, it is super rich and deeply connected to who we are, like that.
I was thinking that going back to the best thing, best harder, heavier, blah blah blah. In the end, this is all things that don't matter. What matters the most is that right now I have the feeling that we are inspired. We are still inspired. We don't have to push to write music. We don't have to write because we have an album that has to be released, and we are unleashing our creativity in a super spontaneous way.
Yeah.
If it becomes the heavier record ever written by Visions of Atlantis, it's not because we wanted it. It's because it's coming up like this. And it's not like we are sitting in front of the computer saying, okay, now we have to write a song for this record, which is a point that I fear of reaching. And I feel for all the bands that are in that condition, you know. Like she has her universe, she has her way, you know. She has her pictures that allows her to write and to create lyrics for you know, to serve the purpose without having to force them. And thanks to the music that we are writing together and that I am writing, she has, you know, the doors, the gateways opening to her universe. And at the same time, you know, when I sit on the, I regret I'm not sitting on the computer right now. No, wait, this doesn't came out. No. Okay, sorry. I'm really happy of being here now. But you see what I mean? I regret I don't have enough time in front of the computer to put down all the ideas that I have, because I would write 20 songs right now and come up with 10 for the record, or 30 and you know, have more to discard, because I feel like I have a lot to write down, to write and to put down. And this is what matters the most. It's not that it's the heavier, the most inspired or whatever. As long as this workflow is going, as long as this situation is there, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I'm sure the next album will be a better one compared to the previous one, because the workflow is there, because I have nothing to force. And I'm sure that the moment in which this will break, then I will have to say that this will be the hardest and heavier, because I will have to convince people about it in advance. You see what I mean? Right now, I really don't have anything to say about it. People will judge it, and they will know that it's something super spontaneous that we are doing, like so genuinely, so easily in the end, because it's freaking easy. You know, we wrote a song. We prepared a pre-production of a song, like from the beginning to the end in 8 hours. After we started after lunch, and at 23 we had everything put down, including the fake lyrics, including the fake melodies, chorus, and everything else, just because we know where we were going. It was just literally about listening, putting down, listening, putting down, listening, putting down. And this is so natural. Like I didn't even have the time to think of what I was doing, because it was so easy.
Yeah, and fun.
Fun.
No, because exactly. Like we're inspired. We feel like we could continuously do that. I mean, he may even way more, because he's literally born to write music in a way. You know, he's a freaking music box. He didn't say that, but for Pirates, there was a song like "In My World" that came out to him in his dreams.
Yeah, that's true.
In the morning, he woke up. He told me, and he had grabbed his phone, and he had verse, chorus, intro coming up to him in his dreams. So it's like there's just a portal that is open.
It was like, wait, I dreamt of it. I remember what I dreamt. I just need to get, you know, to the studio and record it. And I was like, okay, let's keep it in mind. Yeah. And this is in my world, like exactly as you hear it.
Have you ever dreamt a song?
I dreamt a melody once that I wrote down, but that was the extent of it. That's the closest I've ever gotten.
It's already good.
Never a complete arrangement or anything.
I just dreamt of us playing on stage. You know, I was in the crowd listening to Visions playing, and I was like, okay, why should I skip it?
Yeah. And which is cool is that we to come back to like humility in a way is that as much as we keep that flow and we write the songs, we still like keep in mind that the purpose of those songs at some point, not maybe at the beginning when we write, but at some point we're like, okay, this is going to be a Visions of Atlantis song, and we know the history, we know what we need to achieve. We still need to be able to say the next record is the best we've ever written because you want to keep the drive, you want to keep going, you want to keep people touched by your music. You know, you share that with people. So as much as you want to have the fun doing it, there is still like a critical part of you that's like, is that good enough as a song? And he already wrote 10 for the new record, and he already by himself discarded 2, saying like,
it's 14 and we are at 12 right now.
But is 14 with the...
You looked the other way.
If we discard 2,
joke,
it's 12. Like with the 2 discarded, it's 12 tracks.
Yeah, okay, it's not about the real numbers here.
I was just showing up. It was like, hey, dude. Hey.
I try to make you look like very humble because it's better for the audience that we think you're not an asshole.
I wanted to.
We know the truth.
I wanted to sound like that.
Truth is, he wrote 20, or he discarded 1.
Yeah. Don't tell the truth.
So no, just sorry to speak. Like, in the moments when he wrote these songs that have been discarded, he was really enthusiastic about them. He was like, oh, I really love the songs and all, but because we know the purpose, like the end goal that is to make a new record, we still have to remain critical, find balance. Also, to write an album track list, you cannot have 10 times the same. So you have to bring in difference. And sometimes, like we had a discussion recently about some moods in the songs. Like I'm sensitive to specific moods in symphonic metal because this is my taste, you know. And at some point I told him, I would like to have a little bit more of that in general. And he was telling me, yeah, but I can't force it. If it doesn't come out, it just doesn't come out. And I think it's so important that we keep it genuine. And if that specific vibe doesn't hit that record, it's just not meant to be. Maybe it will happen with the next one. So yeah, we have to find a balance between, we still enjoy what we write because it comes from source. Some people would say God, from that portal, from its 4th dimension, whatever you call it.
I like 4th dimension.
Yeah. And
sticking to that.
Yeah. And but we still want it to be like part of the best record we would have ever written. Yeah. So stay in the fun, stay critical, like find the right balance. And
well, it sounds like the way that you've gone about it is that you, you said that you wrote some songs and you discarded them. So that means that you went through the whole, or the most of at least the pre-production process or whatever. You're writing the inspiration, and then like after the sort of 4th dimension inspiration haze, fog, state, of creativity and inspiration was over, you looked at it, and then you're sort of that's where you get critical. You're not sitting there going like, oh, I don't know if this is good enough for the album. You're just going. Yeah. And feeling that state of inspiration that you were describing so well, and then later on you go like, all right, maybe this is not gonna fit on the album, whatever. It's
when the 4th dimension opens up to you. That is not the time to be like, is this the right thing to do at the right time?
Yeah, but we play gore grind. I don't know if I want a melody like that one or whatever. You just accept the gift, of inspiration, and then later on you can be critical. And it sounds like that's what least from your description.
Exactly how it is. And actually, this is something that at the very beginning, was surprising and for the producer, for Felix and for Thomas especially. They were really skeptical about me telling them, listen, guys, this is how it works. I don't mind discarding songs because normally this is a super, super, super delicate and taboo topic with musicians. When you write 10 songs, I would say the 9 musicians out of 10 will want this 10 song because, they put time behind it.
Dude,
there's effort. You know?
I fight with bands so much. Like, I have an album ready. I have 10 songs. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I haven't even heard any of these songs. You know, like, how do you know that they're even like?
How can you say there is an album ready?
Yeah, how do you say there's an album ready, right? They're
But it's so true. You know, nine musicians out of 10. No offense, I'm not pointing my finger towards anyone here. But
I'll point it for you.
I was about to say I'll point it for you.
It's you.
Do it.
I'm talking to you, and I know that you. When you write a song, you don't have the right mindset, and you want to keep it because you've invested time.
I'm even gonna say a name, Walter.
Getting very specific.
Walter, I have no idea who you are. Sorry for this.
I mean,
Trey knows who he is. I love you, Walter.
What we're here to do, more than anything else, aside from just because I learn a lot, which is why I started the podcast, is to be fucking honest with musicians, especially like, you know, ones at a more beginner or intermediate level. Like, say the thing. Be harsh as fuck, dude.
But that's
you'll never be as rough as I am on the
like my time. My time is extremely valuable. You know, this is a quote from Team America. You know, hey Gary, my time and my time is extremely valuable. Okay, you see what I mean? Like my time is extremely valuable, and an hour of my life, you know, as yours and yours and yours, it's worth a lot. But if this hours doesn't serve the purpose, guys, I mean, we have to accept that we are not unfailable. You know, we can make mistakes, and most of all, not everything we put down is perfect. It's just acceptance towards a rule. Like, how many times have you studied a lot and still you didn't succeed at the exam? You know, like it happens to me a lot of time. I've invested hours and hours and hours behind, you know, the book, studying, and then at the end, I didn't pass the exam. It was not enough. What should I do? Just accept it and be angry and mad at myself. Otherwise, I mean, of course, I can blame the professor or the examiner or whatever, but still, I didn't pass.
Yeah.
So I have to reopen the book, study more, and know it better. And this happens with the songs too. Sometimes you spend hours and hours and hours in front of the computer. Like, to write a song properly with the full arrangement and everything, like sometimes it just flows, but sometimes it took me weeks.
Yeah.
Like Master the Hurricane, I think I wrote it. I put it down in a couple hours, but I finished to prepare something that I could offer to the producer in like 3 weeks or something. And I was aware that it might have happened, that it might have just said, you know, this is just crap.
And this is where it can be bitter for musicians, is that the value of the music perceived by the listener doesn't depend on the amount of time you put in, because you could have great ideas, just put them together, and this would be a massive song already, because just the idea is gold. And you could put hours in trying to work around a mediocre idea, and still you put way more time, and you said, I put so much time, so much effort, it must be good. No, music doesn't work that way. Art doesn't work that way.
It's called the sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
People think that the work gives it value, but that's not it.
It's
like in physics, if you if I were to push against this wall here and it for an hour and exert all of my strength and it doesn't move, I haven't actually done any work in the physics sense. And it's the same thing with music. But also, I think what will make any musician who feels like this feel much better and make them a better musician is that even though you did all of that and the song maybe just needs to be deleted, it isn't actually a waste.
No, it's
never
practice.
A waste.
It's practice,
yes.
And sometimes you have to just get that thing out.
It could also be a
And
stepping
then-
stone.
open for
It
something
could have been
else.
the stepping stone that led you to the thing that was the
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah,
That's happened to me so
absolutely.
many times.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, if I remember once there's an anecdote it's not music, it's art, like it's painting, but it's related to that. It's like Picasso was sitting at a table in a bar and he was bored and he made a little drawing on a napkin, like just like that. And it was Picasso style. And he was about to throw it away. And the woman was like, "Oh, you're Mr. Picasso, right? Can I get it? Can I get this drawing?" And he was like, "If you want to get it, you have to pay for it." It was like, how comes you just drew that in 20 minutes? He said, "No, that took me 20 years."
Yeah.
So never, ever, ever is practice a failure, even if the song doesn't make the record, because it is part of your craft. It's part of who you are. You write songs, and that's what Mick is.
Yeah.
He's a writer. He's a songwriter. So he writes songs. And most of them will make a new Visions of Atlantis record. And of course there is affection when when the fourth dimension is still open, because you're still in it. It's still feels like it's a part of you. And there's a moment where that wire is cut, and you just can look at it as objectively. And that's why sometimes we're like, we have these songs and we don't know if is it good enough or not. We say a lot of time, it's too early to judge. It's too early to tell. It will tell when the entire process of the record would be more like
advanced. Actually, I swear to God, I've been like listening to my songs like in my pre-production version when they were done. Like I've been spending nights so excited that I couldn't sleep, listening to one song in repeat, like lying in bed with my AirPods, like listening to this song, and I was over and was like, okay, I want to listen to it again. It's so good, and again and again, and I've been staying there for hours sometimes just re-listening to the same song because I'm super excited. And then on the following day, I was sending it, to the producer, and he was saying like, no, and I was like,
not it.
No, I'm sorry, this is just not good. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not good? I've just spent, I didn't sleep tonight because I was so excited. Yeah, no. And I've learned to accept this. I've just learned to accept that this can happen. It doesn't matter how much love and effort you can put in your work. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and you will always love it. I'm sure that if I sit down and write some crap, in a couple hours it will be done, and I will love it. But it will still be crap. And I have to accept this. We musicians, we write crap. We don't write only gold.
Yeah, good luck convincing.
If they're not gonna listen to
we've been screaming into the void for years at this point.
I think more than anything, not more than anything else, but a huge part of it, of doing this, is just so that y'all can hear it from someone other than me. So people who are like actually selling albums, Yeah. So that's I feel so happy hearing you say that. You have no idea.
Yeah,
all this stuff. Both of you guys, everything you're saying about this topic.
The truth is that the moment in which we started to accept it and we started to write more than before and accepting that our crap has to be discarded, is exactly the moment in which, for instance, Visions of Atlantis started to ramp and started to grow. Okay, we are not Nightwish. We are not. We will never be Metallica. We will.
Hey man, never say that.
Well, let's say that
Nightwish was like what 5-6 albums in before they actually became big.
Doesn't matter. You see what I mean. I'm aware of our position. Yeah. I'm aware how we know how many views our videos have. How many Spotify listeners we have. So we know where we are. We're not pretending we are the best band in the world.
Currently, okay, yeah,
currently,
okay, yeah.
But even in we don't do this because of the numbers. We don't do this, but I'm aware that there is a growth. It's undeniable. Like, this is truly undeniable. We wouldn't be here.
You can see the graph, and it went.
We wouldn't be here up to headline our first, promoters would have never accepted to book the bands. You can't, it doesn't matter who you are, how many connections you have, you can't force certain things. There is no way. You can't pay a promoter.
They're not going to book the tour if they know they're going to lose their ass.
You can be the most famous musician in the world with most friends in the world. They're not going to lose money for you, because at the very end, this is sadly what the market is about. And if a promoter believes that he can sell a show of yours, it's because something is going in the right direction. And we would have never thought that we could even have the chance to do something like this 4 years ago. Now we are doing it because the last record is finally making a difference, and I truly believe that is thanks to the fourth dimension, and the acceptance of the workflow. Like the moment in which we realized the things had to be changed, and we had to accept ourselves in the good and in the bad, in the failures and in the victories, this is where the band started to cycle, started to be coherent, consistent, started to develop an internal relationship between the band members that allowed us not to change lineup anymore, because we are a family in which everyone accepted his role. This goes beyond songwriting. This goes beyond musicianship. This goes into a real acceptance of who you are and your role. Like, Dushi accepts that I write the songs. Clemmy accepts that I write the music. I accept that she writes the lyrics. Thomas accepts that we are handling the music, where this is something that would have never happened before. So there is a connection right now and a compatibility among the musicianship and the people and the relationship and the emotional level and everything works in such a good way that things are happening. And this becomes, first of all, by the acceptance. It's acceptance is the key here, in my opinion.
And the music is obviously resonating with more people because of it.
The way that you described how you came to the band, about it was basically a corpse. They had decided that this was going to be the final hurrah. Like it was almost like this ego death. This the acceptance of just the end and failure. And that's a point at which you can do this kind of growth that you're talking about. It's very difficult to have the kind of huge growth that you're talking about and to reach a point where you can click in the way that you're describing without discarding a lot of the things that are preventing that. And it's if you can look at it and go like, well, all these things that I've been maybe holding on to a certain way, like the way that maybe like certain conflicts within the band that that maybe we're just living with or whatever, you know. Well, that none of those matter anymore. The band's just going to be done, so we're just going to do it. And then, like that, from that lowest point, you've got nowhere to go but up. But also, you're completely open to that, and then things start falling into place like that. I hear people talk about that a lot, you know. And to me, it speaks to this very tight grip that musicians have on their like the stuff that they've put so much into, you know, that once you kind of like let go of that and like realize that it's okay to fail and like that every single thing doesn't matter so much, and you can throw away a song that you worked really hard on and then it's not a waste, then you can hit that, you know, that vertical growth as an artist and as a person. So I love hearing stories like that. And
but it's nice to say now because it works and because we obviously have our shows and our sales and our numbers to completely confirm that this is happening for us. But it doesn't come in easy. It's not easy to go through. We've had terrible moments where we had to agree this is not going to be like that. Some melodies, some songs that, no, you're not going to sing this because it doesn't sound good. You have to sing that way, or we're going to discard that song, or it's going to be called different, or, you know.
It's why most bands fail. I've been in many bands where I tried to at least voice that opinion, right? And a lot of times the band either breaks up or people leave.
Yeah.
Just because
they can't accept it.
Yeah.
They can't accept it, and the lack of trust in the process. Like, we decided to work with Felix because at some point we realized, okay, he's the best songwriter among all of us at that point for Visions, and back in 2020 when we met him. And a producer has a specific role, and we accept his role and we accept his vision. Otherwise, you don't work with him. You find someone else. Some people might not take enough time to find the right producer, to find the right songwriter, to find the right people within their own band to work with. And we, with that process, said, okay, we have this producer. He has different criteria than we to write music, and we complement each other very well. Sometimes it leads to discussions because we share different points of views, but we complement each other so well that makes the music we've been able to make together. Sometimes it's just not easy to have these talks because of that. But if we trust the process and we know that if we surrender, that if we leave our ego apart, I mean, he has a tattoo about like leaving your ego aside.
It says,
nice.
Surrender. Sorry, I can't read it up a little bit more.
Surrender your ego. Be free to yourself.
Actually, this is a famous quote from Queen. Anyways, innuendo.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds familiar.
Exactly. Yeah, and when this is all about coming back. Yeah, your ego doesn't need to be the voice ruling your world when you trust in something greater. when you trust in your real self, and when you trust with the bond with others, and when you trust in the value that other people give to you to bring your music higher. And this is the point, the goal we all want to. We want to write the best music for this band. We want to have the best career for this band. And if it means that this song or this idea is not good enough, it is not good enough. And as long as we all share this goal, we agree, and we are an absolute team here. Sometimes it's like, oh, we're losing away the spice and the mood, and we come in and say, yeah, we still would like to have this in this environment. We're still like that kind of metal band, our identity, whatever. We have constant talks, like even these days where we are away, we are in touch with our producer, and they're sending back versions of our new song to make sure we go in the right direction and all. And it's a constant dialogue, and it would not work without the trust and the faith in everyone. Yeah. So in everyone's assets, in everyone's what the value everyone can bring to the band.
Yeah, it's that's the biggest thing is usually why I see most bands fail is because the band got together from the very beginning with the wrong mindset. The band got together was like, I need the person that plays the best guitar player. It doesn't matter. Everything else doesn't matter. I need the best guitar player. I need the best drummer. I need the best this, like that. They don't think about all the other aspects of like making a song, or even like say you somehow make a song and you actually do end up becoming somewhat successful. Then there's the whole aspect of touring. You don't even know if this is a person you want to tour with. And oh boy, when you go on tour with some people, you find out, oh, this is a terrible person that I would never want to tour with,
Yep.
And this is where acceptance is. See, I was about to say acceptance, whatever. So this is where it also comes in because you could always say like we're bands from 3 different countries. It's like we have different visions of the world, of how to be together. It's etc. It's not like we're the most 5 years ago you didn't know these guys. And now you have to tour and share
sure.
everything with them so intimately, like on the bus and all. So there are two approach at some point. It's like, I can't cope with that person or this or that person. We need to change them. But it doesn't look great to change lineup,
right?
So what you could is, how can I change my approach to that person? And this is where radical acceptance is so important. Is that you look at these people and you're like, this is who you are. And there is no option to kick you out, because that wouldn't be the band we are if you're not there. So eliminating the option you could leave, my only option left is that I change my approach. I accept who you are, and I don't fight and I don't resist this part of you that would never be best friends or whatever, or I find this so annoying that you leave your thrash all over the place. But the way to bring peace within ourselves sometimes on tour is to just do that, to just accept these people. This is who they are, as much as I want them to accept me for who I am for real. And doing this, suddenly still things might annoy you, and you might have some talks because, trying to find balance, everyone feeling good on tour is important. But you may leave that place where there is so much tension that you're like, oh my God, I can't stand being around. This cannot work on. Like, radical acceptance of people and yourself. This is a key that is it's not easy every day.
No.
But it's, to me, brought a lot of peace or being around people on tour.
That's great.
It is.
And I think probably within the, just in the creative working space as well, that's a huge, a great way to go about it. Obviously a very, a big mental shift for how you're approaching things, but one that I will have to try a bit, because I think the tendency is to just resist, just to fight.
That's what almost every musician.
I was talking with
like doing.
Martin from Delauney a couple of days ago. We are in contact for several reasons, and we were sharing the fact that basically being a musician is a synonymous of accepting that things will never go the way you want. like from the day zero, like we were both like so much on the same page, and we were like you know, like virtually hugging each other, saying, "Hey mate, I feel you. Hey mate, I feel you." Like the moment in which you start to be a musician, you start realizing that the world will never turn in the way you want. Because on the very first show, when you are a kid and you bring your own PA to the venue, or this is what I was doing, you know, and you have to connect your own cables, and you have your own mixer that you bought, you know, doing another job or earning money, you know, like aside of your school hours and everything else. So when you work your ass out, you prepare everything. You finally have your PA, you finally have your mixer, you finally have your cables, your microphones. You go to the venue, you mount everything, you put so much effort into it. You play in front of 15, 20 people, and the owner of the venue tells you, yeah, you know, there were so little people, I can't give you the fee tonight. This is what was happening all the times, you know, but I was so passionate, I didn't give a shit because I wanted to play. And that people from 15, they became 20, and from 20, 30, and from 30, 50. And all in all, I'm here touring US and I'm European. So probably I did things the right way, but so many things didn't went in the right. I was so pissed when the venue owner was like telling me, with a pub owner, wasn't even a venue, was telling me, yeah, you know, the evening went bad. I can't give you the fee as we agreed, blah, blah, blah. This is the first failure, you know, and the second failure was changing the first musician in your band because things didn't work. And then you start, you know, having a record label, the first deals, and in the deals there is written something and it doesn't happen. And then you have the first booking contract and they promise you 10 shows per month, and in the end you do one, and you understand that no one can promise you 10 shows per month, but you're too naive at the very beginning, and you pay them and they are happy with the money that you pay for, but you don't realize you're wasting your money, and this is something that goes wrong. And then like the musician's life is all about things going wrong. And the moment in which you accept it, and you accept that fixing is your real job, then that is the moment in which you start telling yourself, okay, I've understood how it works. I just need to cope with it and I will be happy. And this is how I feel right now. I think you share this, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a life lesson. Like nothing in life is going to happen the way you want it, because you cannot control everything. Yeah. And surrendering to the process, surrendering to what is happening, not taking it personally, like whatever happens to you, it's just let's not talk about law of attraction.
just do your best.
I tell in my songwriting course, I tell people, like, you are going to get good at this when you learn to wake up every single day and eat failure for breakfast. Like, you are going to fail over and over and over again, and that's fine. You just have to. If I've seen people like fail the first try and just give up, and I was like, you haven't even gotten to step one yet. That's step 0. Like, of course you're not going to be good at it the first time. Like, people take failure so hard, but you can't. You it's not even that you can take it badly. You literally have to be happy about failing because you tried and you learned something, and that's all there is.
Yeah,
until you fail to death.
Yeah, and that's sometimes a reason why actually failure is not part of our vocabulary so much. I told it because I thought, this can be, like, at some point we talked about it as failure, but if you believe, like, every time it doesn't work, you learn. There is no failure, as we said. There is no failure. It's just experience. And experience, like some people are like, practice makes perfect. No, practice makes better. And there is no practice that doesn't involve mistakes and doesn't. And sometimes you circle into something and you don't manage, and you take a risk and it doesn't work, and you learn why, so that the next time it works. And if you never take that risk, if you never try for real, nothing is ever going to happen.
Yeah. I think this is a great time to wrap it up, because that's the golden nugget of the whole day. I think this is the most important thing in being a creative, and
Trey learned something new.
I learned something new, and we're we're running past 2 hours now, which is great. I'll go till the end of the world, but I think this is easy. This is a great way to kick off season 2 because this is easily one of the best episodes
Because I'm
of
here,
this
that's why.
that we've had. Our good luck mascot over here, Alex, finally decided to come. But do you want to tell the world what you've got going on? You guys are on or about to start a tour.
When are you publishing this?
Oh yeah.
That's a great question. It'll be at least a week, possibly more. So how long is the tour?
It's a month. So
Okay, yeah, just say that you can talk about it.
go for it.
So we're currently on tour on our first ever headline tour in the US. As you hear this, you can check our socials to see if we're hitting your town. We're happy to have you. Some cities are running low on tickets. We're absolutely amazed by that. Like even if it's like the first venues you can hit in the US, filling them up feels just right. Like feels like the wave following the release of Pirates has been like we're amazed by what's happening around our band and the response we get from people. This is the best gift ever to feel there is a response to the value we think we give to the world. So if you want to share that, have fun with us, jump and scream and all, and have a real pirate party, check our tour dates. And if you're hearing this from Europe, we're coming to get you too. In April, we're back in the European roads. Tour dates are already announced. Tickets are in sales too. And then we have a bunch of great festivals coming next summer, Europe mostly. And then we have tours that are confirmed that needs to be announced. And
I mean, the Prog Power is announced already.
Yeah, Prog Power
for the
USA.
American
Yeah,
fans, so-
totally.
September, right?
Yep.
September, yeah.
And you can dress up as pirates when you come to the show.
In
That's
fact,
extremely
in fact, you should.
You should.
yeah, every person that comes dressed up as a pirate to our show wins a good show.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, is he going to do one of those
Oh, no.
Italian promises?
Yeah,
A good show.
Yeah.
He'll give you a high
That's a
five.
promise I can keep.
Well, guys, I'm hoping to. I mean, I already saw you less than a week ago, but hopefully I can come out to the show and bring my pirate hat.
All right.
So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. To all of the folks at home, you can check out this and all of the past episodes as audio podcasts on howsongsaremade.podcast.com. And you can also get merch, and you can subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite podcast dealers, Spotify and Apple Music and all of that. And, of course, check out Visions of Atlantis on all of their socials and go support the band, see them on tour. Thanks to Alex for existing, for being here, for I'm kidding.
Existing.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I mean, just as in general,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a good thing I exist.
Otherwise, thanks for coming and co-hosting today, and hopefully
Fun as
again in the
always,
future
buddy.
at some point. Let us know if you think Alex should come back.
They liked me on your
and,
stream, so maybe they'll
oh,
like
yeah.
me on your podcast too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified the next time I've got another podcast and some more guests. And also let me know what guests you think that I should have on this year, because this is just the beginning of season 2. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all on the Flippy Floppy.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.